here. I'm so happy to be here, and I do have a guest. But before I get to my guest, I just have to say the Dow is off about 500 points. It's making a slight rebound. We'll see how it ends up the day. And the Democrats are thrilled, I'll just say. Farmers also created a climate change spectacle. Wait till you hear what they did over in the Netherlands. It brought joy to my heart, actually, to see that. And the belly of the beast, Trump's next big campaign rally, is in one of our major cities. And you'll never guess which one. Well, maybe you will, but we'll talk about that also. All right, before I go any further into all of those fun details of the day, I'm welcoming my guest. I'm certainly hopeful that he can hear me. But, this is technology. We will see. Gerard Shemeka, I'm thinking is the way we pronounce your name. He is the Vice President of Consumer Action for a Strong Economy. He's consulted or managed over 36 winning campaigns in the local, state, and federal level. And so I'm welcoming him to the show. I'm going to ask you to back away a little bit from your camera if you can before I put you live, because you're quite large. You're looming quite large in the camera there, Gerard. Can you hear me? So I'm thinking he can't hear me. I will ask one more time, and then I'm going to have to shut that down because it's not working. Can you hear me? I guess not.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I'm sorry, I still can't hear you.
No. All right. So we're gonna shut that off, and we will get him back on the show. I was excited to have him on the show because he works with several campaigns and he does a lot of that. And he was going to speak about how our higher education is affecting the way we think about what's happening in our culture today. Really, it's having a profound effect on the way we think, on how we approach problem solving, how we approach problems in general. And so I was excited to speak to him about that. But you know what? We've got a lot of other stuff to get through anyway. And so that will have to wait till another time. There is an article that just came across my desk. I'm hoping to have Roger Simon on the show in a little bit and to talk about an article that he just wrote about Bernie Sanders, who apparently yesterday had some chest pain, complained about having chest pain. And so they brought him to the hospital and they did some research and they found that he had a couple of blockages. And so he underwent some heart surgery and they put a couple of stents in. They say he's doing fine. They have suspended his campaign activity. I have to say, I'm not sure about the way that they're handling this because it seems to me that it has to be worse than what they're making out. And as lighthearted or as light of a touch as they're putting on it, they're still saying that they're suspending all campaign activity until further notice, instead of doing sort of the soft recline where, we're taking it on a day-to-day basis. He won't be showing up tomorrow, but we'll see about the next day, that kind of thing. They're just saying everything's off the table for now, and we'll let you know when he's coming back. And that seems to me to be a much more negative approach. But at the same time, I can only take them at their word that he's doing fine, that he's awake and speaking with people, and he's pulled through just fine. And for that, we're all grateful because we really don't wish ill on people. Although I will say that my son came down into the kitchen and I said, wow, because I just got the alert or whatever. I just saw the alert. I said, they brought Bernie in for heart surgery. And my son goes, what, are they finally giving him one? And you see, it's funny because he's a socialist. And so he's actually for deprivation and human misery, is all I'm saying. So, all right, let's see. I'm sorry. Gerard's email is texting me, but I can't do it. I can't do it to you guys to have the whole tech thing. It's very frustrating for me and it makes me a bad host and stuff. So Bernie is recovering. I'm hoping that he recovers enough, to understand that he should back out of the race and just not even. But I don't hold out very much hope for Bernie. I actually don't hold out much hope for Joe either. I think that Joe's time has passed. I think that he has made too many mistakes so far that would indicate of future mistakes. And I think the Democrats have a problem because I think that they've put all their eggs in that basket. And it's going to be very hard for them to swivel to who? To Elizabeth Warren? Do you think that she could be the candidate for the Democrats? I think that would be an amazing thing. I think Trump would welcome it with both arms, with wide open arms. And so then the question is, and I don't know if you know this, but Pete Buttigieg has raised gobloads of money. So then you have to start wondering, is he the come from behind, similar to what Obama did? But I honestly, I know that they're going to put the lock on the election as best they can. I mean, they had the lock on the election for the last election for Hillary. In fact, I think I talked to you guys yesterday about this this Politico article that was written that was talking about, and this is Politico back in 2017, talking about how the Ukrainians were involved in the election, were meddling, supplying information, doing spy ops for the Democrats, for Hillary. And this is off of Politico, which is not a right-wing by any stretch. It's a left-wing publication for sure. And they came clean in 2017 and said, hey, the Ukrainians were all in for Hillary, and they were actually trying to influence the election, and they failed. And then we had the guy testify in front of Congress about Google and how Google can influence votes to the tune of somewhere between, I think it was 3 million and 17 million votes. So 3 million that they know for sure were swayed towards Hillary. However, they know that stuff. And then the upper end of that is in the tens of millions, or under 20 million, between 10 and 20 million. That's huge, considering the number of votes that the election turned on. Now, here's the thing is that we don't have a democracy; we have a republic, a representational republic, and so the good news is that all those votes are in the same place, and so they actually have less sway because the country as a whole gets represented, not just the places where there are tons of people. That's our electoral college. Now, if you do away with the electoral college, which is what they're trying to do, then all bets are off. It becomes a mobocracy, and whoever gets the most votes wins. And then basically, whatever the prevailing thought is of the day wins the day, and the mob gets to rule over whoever is on the outs, which I think is a very dangerous thing. And that's why, of course, I support the Electoral College, and I think that we need to be teaching better civics in our schools, but that's a discussion for another day. So this story that I found was really quite interesting. Apparently, the State Department is intensifying their email probe of Hillary Clinton's former aides. This is off the Washington Post. Now, this is a fascinating story because they've been doing this. Research for a while. I'm going to read you some of this. The Trump administration is now, mind you, this is off of the WAPO. WAPO hates Trump, so they will blame Trump for everything. But I'm going to read it the way that it's written, so you get a taste of the bias that's intrinsic in this kind of thing. But fascinating that it's coming out of the Washington Post, and this feeds into the meta-narrative that I gave you guys yesterday, that part of the reason that all of this is intensifying, that it's so ridiculous now. They're calling for impeachment based on rumor, gossip, and hearsay. And they're unabashed. Oh, yes, they'll just make stuff up. They just make it up. It's whatever they believe. And in fact, they're so far gone and I'm talking about the Democrats, of course, they're so far gone in their fake news, for lack of a better word, that they have no problem making stuff up. They just make it up. No big deal. So, okay. The Trump administration is investigating the email records of dozens of current and former senior State Department officials who sent messages to then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's private email, reviving a politically toxic matter that overshadowed the 2016 election, current and former officials have said. Well, I think that they never stopped investigating. As many as 130 officials, however, have been contacted in recent weeks by State Department investigators, a list that includes senior officials who reported directly to Clinton, as well as others in low-level jobs whose emails were at some point relayed to her inbox. And this is current and former State Department officials are saying these things. They refuse to be identified. And, of course, we just have to trust the WAPO that they're actually talking to real people and not just making this up. But it sounds credible, I suppose. If it passes the smell test, you kind of have to go with it. Those targeted were notified that emails they sent years ago have been retroactively classified. Whew. And now constitute potential security violations, according to letters reviewed by the Washington Post. So the Washington Post is saying that they've actually seen these letters. In virtually all of the cases, potentially sensitive information, now recategorized as classified, was sent to Clinton's unsecured inbox. Well, that's one way of getting around needing a classified type of server, is you just declassify everything, or you never classify it in the first place. And you say, oh, it's not classified. And now they're looking at it and they're saying, well, that actually should have been classified, so we're going to classify it now. State Department investigators began contacting former officials about 18 months ago after President Trump's election, and then seemed to drop the effort before picking it up in August. So they only, I guess, and I don't know if I believe this, but it seems like they only recently sort of restarted the investigation. It's possible that they put it on hold for a while, for one reason or another. The article doesn't go into that. Senior State Department officials said that they are following standard protocol in an investigation that began during the latter days of the Obama administration and is nearing completion now. This has nothing to do with who is in the White House, they claim. This is according to a senior State Department official, of course, anonymously, because they're not authorized to speak publicly about an ongoing probe. But let me just tell you, this is about the time it took to go through millions of emails, which is about 3.5 years. So you see, what I'm saying is the article wants you to think that they stopped for a while and then they started back up again. And in fact, the quote that they have in here actually says, the guy says, this is just the time that it takes. It wasn't like we hit pause. It was that we stopped doing any outreach because we had to go through millions of emails, some of which may have the emails that she destroyed in the train, in the thread. State Department officials vigorously deny that there's any political motivation behind their actions. And they said that the reviews of retroactively classified emails are conducted by career bureaucrats who don't know the names of the subjects who are being investigated. Okay. The process is set up in a manner to completely avoid any appearance of political bias. And this is according to a senior State Department official, speaking on condition of anonymity. And that's how it's done. But it still is ongoing, and we will see what the fallout is. But it's interesting that they are so keen to get Trump out of office. And here's the thing, have at it. I'm thrilled. I think that they should go ahead with the impeachment, but I think that they should do it openly. I'm happy for them to fall on their swords. The Democrats are just going to basically, harikari? Something like that. They're shooting themselves in the foot. They are making a spectacle of themselves. And the only how do I put this? The saving grace for them is that the media is on their side, that so much of the media is on their side. But eventually it's going to come out, and eventually they're going to realize that the American people like Donald Trump because they like what's happening in the economy. Now, today we had a collapse in the Dow. It is October, or October is notorious for Dow volatility. But you'll see all of the Democrats just thrilled. In fact, Bill Maher, who is sort of a mascot for the liberals, despite his disdain for Islam, he has said that he wishes that there were a recession. He wouldn't mind if some people lost their homes if it would get Donald Trump out of office. These are the words of an ideologue. And they're dangerous. I don't care who gets hurt in the process. I just want what I want. And there's no reason to want what he wants, because what Trump has done for the economy has been nothing short of exceptional. And by the way, I think you ought to know, I heard this statistic the other day. In the past, since the year 2000, we have halved the percentage of poor people in the world, the percentage of the abject poor. We have halved it. For the first time in the history of the world, more people are not in poverty than are living in poverty. It boggles the mind. And this is the result of capitalism and progress, real progress, economic progress. And I heard this argument too. I heard this from Jordan Peterson. He said, the best thing that you can do for the environment is empower people economically. Because the strangest thing happens, the natural state of being is I need to get food and I need to keep myself warm. I've got two desires that are so important that I cannot ignore them. Food and water, sustenance and warmth, okay? And for most of humanity, those two cravings, those two necessities occupied 100% of your waking hour. 100% of your day was spent finding sustenance and trying to keep warm, trying to find a way to keep warm, right? Gathering wood or whatever it would be. And so you lived from day to day just trying to maintain a status quo of having enough food and being warm enough. And then at one point, we started the exchange of goods, which created wealth. And we were able to compound our own worth and our wealth with the fruits of our labors. And so we became less preoccupied with making sure that we had food in the short term, and we were able to think in the long term. And when you start thinking in the long term, you think, well, I'd like to sit outside. Maybe I shouldn't defecate in my front yard because I have some free time now and I might like to spend it over here. Or things along that line. And so as you become more aware and more able to think about other things besides food and warmth, you become an environmentalist. You naturally become somebody who is concerned with your personal environment. And of course, that's the best way to get people involved in the environment is make it personal. But see, the progressives don't understand and don't care. They don't care about that. The progressives are not about, really, they're not about the environment. They're using the environment as a ploy to get power, basically to get your money. Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to play for you today was this clip. It's an edited clip of children fighting for the climate. Now, I'm not saying that the children are all on power trips because far from it. They've just been brainwashed. But what's amazing is what they've been brainwashed to believe. And you only have to go back a couple of decades to hear the same stuff from people, that the earth is going to end, that humanity will be extinct, that we're destroying everything, that the oceans will freeze, that there will be no more ice caps, All of this stuff. Just a few decades ago, they were predicting all of this stuff within 10, 12, 15, 20 years. And now we're seeing it all over again. But they've got now this young woman, Greta, who's 16. And I love this on Twitter. They showed a meme of her, and they show a photo of her, and a photo of the young kid from the Catholic school, the Covington Catholic school boy, who was accosted by the Native American man who was beating a drum, and how the media just absolutely destroyed him. But with ridicule, and said the nastiest things about him, that they hoped that he died. There were a lot of nasty, nasty things. And then you have Greta, and the response is, you can't criticize her, she's 16 years old. That's a little hypocritical, I'm just saying. So I believe I retweeted that. Okay, Atrantil makes now CBD oils. CBD oils can be very helpful with sleeping, aches and pains, seizures, and inflammation. If you go to mojo50.com/shop, you'll find CBD oils that we sell. They're made by Atrantil. They are the highest strength tincture. They're clinically tested. They're physician endorsed. They are the best price per milligram for clean, full spectrum CBD. It's organic hemp. It's CO2 extract tincture. It's a full spectrum cannabinoid. And as I said, it helps with sleeping, aches and pains, seizures, and inflammation. The hemp's grown organically. So this is the natural stuff. You should try it. Just go to mojo50.com/shop. That's mojo50.com/shop. mojo50.com/shop. And if you're listening on Mojo50 right now, it's right around the corner. You just go over there and you play. Okay. All right. So this is this clip of these kids. I want you to hear the panic, the abject anxiety. This is like child abuse, making a child believe that they will be extinct, that they are, that their lives are threatened, imminently threatened. This is what these kids believe. Listen. I just want to point out, look at the panic in these kids. Now, all of these kids are now public speakers, so they've clearly been groomed and trained to foment as much panic as they possibly can in their audiences. But if they don't believe what they're saying, then they're being trained to lie. And that's also not good. So either way, this is horrifying. It's horrifying to me. And when you hear these kids, it gives me visceral anxiety. Come on. Okay, so this kid is simply a bystander. So he is not a public speaker. He's being interviewed by a guy on the street, kind of a thing. And he's literally in a panic. This is insanity. Where are those ecosystems? I just need to know. There's more forest in North America than was here 100 years ago. This is the Sam Sorbo Show. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. And I'll be right back.
Hello.
Hi, Roger. How are you?
I'm pretty good, dude. Should I be on video too?
Would be great if you could be.
Oh, why not? Hold on a second.
And then as soon as we hear the music, you'll be live on the radio. Right now, we're just live on YouTube.
Okay, got it. Okay, let me see something here. You should be seeing me now.
I totally see you. You can back up a little bit.
Okay.
Excellent. And so, so I'm going to come back in on the radio, and then we'll go, and then I'll introduce you
Okay.
as some guy that I just pulled off the street.
Very fine.
Just some dude. I loved your article.
Thank you. I wrote that in the white heat.
Yeah.
But now we have the news that Schiff was approached by the whistleblower first.
Yes. There's and there's the other audio. I played it on the air yesterday of Schiff being punked by the two comedians.
No, that's one of the great. That is hilarious. Very Russian too. The Russians have a great dark sense of humor.
All right. Welcome back to the program. I am now joined by my guest. Roger Simon is an award-nominated screenwriter. He was formerly the CEO of PJ Media. Now he is its CEO emeritus. And I reached out to him today. He's also the author of a new book called The GOAT, the G-O-A-T, the greatest of all time. It's a tennis murder mystery, but he just got a fantastic review. And I have to say, I'm still waiting for my copy. I'm not sure. It's supposed to arrive tomorrow, I think. But hold on. Let me get this working. I'm going to put you on. Here we go. So, Roger Simon, thank you for joining me on the Sam Sorbo Show.
Happy to be here again.
What's that?
Happy to be here.
Yes. So your book is doing quite. We'll just cover that briefly. Your book is doing quite well. The GOAT.
It seems to be doing very well. I mean, there are a lot of Amazon reviews, and almost all of them are good. I mean, really good.
Yeah, and you do want a couple of bad reviews. You need the other end of the spectrum to sort of make the good ones seem real.
There wasn't all family members, right? But see, I don't have that big a family, so and many of them are not talking to me now since the politics of the country have shifted. So I have to rely on the kindness of strangers, as Tennessee Williams once said.
Right. And you just got a fantastic review. I'm trying to pull it up here, but I can't find it. But it's amazing what people are saying about it. Let's talk about Bernie Sanders, because you commented on him going into the hospital, and you were very kind. You don't wish him ill, but you were trying to make a point. What was the point that you were trying to make?
Well, I am only a few years younger than Sanders, although I work hard to stay in shape.
Yeah, you look much better.
but anything can happen.
Sure.
And one of the things that can destroy you first is letting anger dictate your personality and your life. And we're living in a time when the country's gone crazy with anger, and Bernie is a leading factor in that. If you don't have to know the man. I've seen him speak, and anger is coming out of his nose. He's very angry that the country hasn't adopted policies that Lenin was recommending in 1924, but or in a pretend watered down version, I guess. But anyway.
A pretend watered down, and that never got traction for me. And you can see through it. See, the thing with him is, I know that he's got the faithful out there. He's got a following, but when we saw him in the debates, he really came across as the angry guy who's constantly shouting, "You dumb kids, get off my lawn!"
Well, you expect him to have the coronary right then.
Also.
I mean, but but I wrote this piece on PJ that's up there right now, as just a reminder to all of us, because we're living in a country that has, been dominated by anger now. Ironically, at the very moment that in history, America is at its apex. I mean, we're not at war, really. Even though today has a big stock market drawdown, the economy is in great shape. More people are working than ever. Life is fine, but in that old idiom of "can't stand prosperity," the country has gone crazy and people hating each other.
Well,
I've never seen anything like it.
To be perfectly fair, the socialists are furious, and rightly so, because with prosperity, socialism has to take a back seat. And so they need to foment the belief that we are not being prosperous, the belief that we are destroying the planet, that death is imminent because of our largesse, of our excesses. And that's what they're doing, right? And so it's no wonder if Bernie actually and I think he actually believes the crap that he's trying to sell us, then he would be angry.
Yeah, he's been at it for too long. I question whether actually the benefactor of his illness, aka Elizabeth Warren, actually believes everything. I'm not sure about her. I mean, she used to make a living, swapping houses. So she's got a capitalist background. But I have a feeling that she's just a total fraud, and that the faux Indian thing is actually an indication of her real personality. But all that will come out in the. I think she's going to get nominated, so we'll find out.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Although it's sort of like this weird thing because anything can happen. Bernie just ended up in the hospital, and the fact that his campaign is saying they've just suspended everything rather than saying we're taking it on a day-to-day basis, we're just suspending things for tomorrow or tomorrow and the next day. But they're just everything's off the table. We'll see what happens. That's sort of an indication to me that it's more serious than they're letting on, right?
Definitely. I think it's pretty serious. I mean, I don't think this man's coming back, frankly. He may come back, but it won't be serious.
Okay. So his campaign had a coronary also. I mean, I think we can admit that. The campaign also had a coronary, and I don't know if there are any stents that are big enough to fix that. So now Elizabeth Warren is basically in the hot seat. But Pete Buttigieg has raised a lot of money, and he's sort of quiet. And I'm not sure I think that he's playing behind the scenes right now.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. I think the only way Warren will now, she's already doing it, people say, not going out in media very much. Once you're in a position of in the catbird seat,
not tripping.
Don't give them a chance to attack you.
Not tripping herself. And have we just forgotten about Joe Biden? Is that what we're doing? We're just saying Joe
Biden is in deeper trouble than people even know. I think that were he not a former vice president, who he is, he'd be open to very severe criminal charges. Because the more you learn about Burisma,
Burisma, just for the audience, Burisma is the oil and gas company that his son sat on the board for, or was a vice president for. It still is associated with Burisma, actually, for $50,000 a month. And
I think it's more than that. Some people are saying, but the other part of the interesting thing about Burisma is I think it's either owned by or related to the biggest private bank, the Privat Bank in the Ukraine, and the amount of money that they have gotten, both from the International Monetary Fund and the U.S., comes to many billions. It's maybe the biggest fraud of all time when this comes clean. And the U.S. taxpayer has been, and if Biden can be connected with this, under normal terms, he doesn't have much of a life left, but he'd be set up for what little he has. But I don't think that's going to happen, because I think there's a limit on what even William Barr is going to do to these people. But we'll see.
There's also, let's face it, a limit to what the American public would accept. There are too many people who are staunch Democrats who are in this for Biden, and they'll allow him to not be their candidate, but I don't know that they would really sort of sit still for a prosecution, which is, I think that's the position that they had with Hillary too, and now they're still investigating, by the way. So we'll see what happens with that, but think it's too big to fail. I think we've accepted this notion that there are things that are too big to fail, and I think politicians, some of them are that fall in that category.
Well, we're going to find out soon, or maybe not. I think it's all going to come out early 2020.
Yeah,
I think it's going to take longer than people are calling for.
Well, you're more optimistic than I am. I doubt that we're going to see very much on that. I'm just sort of cynical because of the way things have gone. I mean, look at Benghazi. I mean, nothing. We got nothing out of Benghazi, sadly, except for deaths.
But Benghazi's somewhat different. Benghazi was an awful lie. They blew it. I mean, what happened with Benghazi, I think, is basically that they were giving guns to people they shouldn't have, and they hit it all with this guy and the famous filmmaker who made a movie that 12 people watched. But
right.
So that was just a lie and a cover-up. But this is bigger deal, because what may have happened here is they were actually trying to upend Trump before he was elected. Now, that is called treason. Treason.
After he was elected.
Yeah, after he was elected, it's treason. Before, it's misuse of the government on a level that's pretty incredible. So,
well, the thing about it, I think all of it is that it's such hypocrisy. Either you believe that election tampering is bad, and then you don't do it, or you believe it's okay because you're engaged in it. But it seems like the same people who are engaged in it are crying out, "Hey, you shouldn't have done this," and that's how we got into this mess, is because as a way of deterring us from finding out that they were engaged in election tampering, they have now blamed the other side for election tampering.
Of course, yes, it's really amazing. I mean, it's all projection. I mean, and I think in a certain way they like to believe it themselves. If you say a lie enough,
oh yeah,
every kid knows that. No, I didn't do that. And if they start saying that when they were 4, by the time they're 6, they believe what they said.
Yeah, they hunkered in and. Everybody. Yeah, we've seen that. Okay, so the book is called The Goat. It's available on Amazon.com, and also you should check out pjmedia.com because that's where Roger writes. And there's some other great articles. By the way, I'm covering another article that just came out. I signed up for PJ Media's email notifications, and so I get notified when I guess certain articles come up. And you just put an amazing article up about a teenager who got birth control implanted under her skin. It caused medical complications. The parents were never even notified that it happened. And so I'm going to talk about that, but not with you. But Roger Simon, thank you so much for coming on the program.
I'm past the age of birth control.
You what?
I'm past the age of birth control.
All right. Thanks for coming on the program. All right. Bye.
Thank you.
So, okay. I do want to talk about this other story because it's just amazing. But before I do, Combat Flip-Flops, they're creating peaceful, forward-thinking opportunities for self-determined entrepreneurs affected by conflict. They are willing to take bold risks. They offer community connection and distinct designs as well. So you should go to combatflipflops.com. Use the code SAM25. You get 25% off of your flip-flops. I know we're moving into fall, but there's still plenty of areas like where I live in Florida where you can wear flip-flops year-round. That's what I'm doing with mine. So go to combatflipflops.com. Also, they make a great Christmas gift. I know. Did I just say Christmas? It's not even Halloween. But I'm walking around now in the neighborhoods and in the stores, and they've got the Halloween deck up. And by the way, this is my birth month, so I will be celebrating my birth month, the entire month. Happy birthday to me. All right, let's talk about this teenager. I swear this is going in my book. So I've just been talking about this. In fact, last night I was up late writing more in the book about the amount of porn that they're just installing in our public schools as early as kindergarten, pre-K even. In fact, I was out this morning at an appointment. There was a young woman sitting across from me. Turns out she had a 5 and a 3-year-old, and I asked her where they were, and she said, "Oh, they're in preschool." And I said, "Oh, well." And of course, I told her, don't put your kids in public school. And this is why. I tell everybody who is willing to listen. Teen experiences serious complications after school, inserts birth control implant without parental consent. So this mother found out she discovered that her daughter was suffering complications from an implanted birth control device she didn't even know was there. Nicole Lambert's then 16-year-old daughter was complaining of arm pain. So her mother took her to the pediatrician, who discovered that an improperly inserted Nexplanon birth control device was the culprit. Guess who inserted the birth control device without asking the parents' consent? The school nurse. So PJ Media is talking to their attorney, the parents' attorney. There's no transparency in the training or certification of the health school centers. So this is according to their attorney. Are they looking at the medical history of the students, doing a full workup before implanting devices? What's the certification process? What's the training of these nurses? Are they just shown here? You have a gun and and it goes through the skin and then you dab away a little bit of the blood and you're done. I mean, come on. He's trying to get the information from the school. He's been stonewalled for over a month. He put in a formal request for the daughter's medical file, but the school has yet to turn it over. And then I want to read this to you. A law in Maryland makes it possible for minors to consent to invasive procedures without parental consent. So they're minors, but they are allowed to consent to invasive procedures without parental consent. They are given the same capacity as an adult to make decisions like treatment for or advice about drug abuse, treatment for or advice about alcoholism, treatment for or advice about venereal disease, treatment for or advice about pregnancy, treatment for or advice about contraception other than sterilization, physical examination and treatment of injuries from an alleged rape or sexual offense. Don't have to notify the parents. Don't let them in on it. Physical examination to obtain evidence of an alleged rape or sexual offense. Don't need to tell the parents. Shh. Initial medical screening and physical examination on and after admission of the minor into a detention center. The parent doesn't need to be notified. By the way, they were not allowed to remove the device without Lambert's consent. The surgery to remove the device also removed damaged tissue and skin caused by the Nexplanon. Merck, who makes the device, is open about possible complications that come from this particular form of birth control. And I want to point out that the mother was very clear in stressing that it has nothing to do with the birth control, that she's fine about birth control, but that it was done without her consent and without her knowledge. So that when her daughter had complications because of it, she didn't know why. Can you imagine taking your child to the pediatrician and the pediatrician saying, well, it's this implant here. And you're going, what? What implant? What? How'd that happen? So ABC News in Baltimore sent FOIA requests to the school and the health department, but was told that because of pending litigation, they could not release information. The lawyer said he wasn't aware of any pending lawsuits. I looked for pending litigation, he said, but I didn't find any. It's possible it's listed under a different name and I'm searching the wrong thing, but so far, nothing's come up. The attorney, who has not yet filed a lawsuit, is hoping the school will be transparent about the risks to students and the policies that led to this disaster. And PJ Media, of course, reached out to Digital Harbor High School for comment, but received no response at the time of publishing. By the way, I'm seeing a lot of these stories out of Maryland. I think Maryland's just way off the rails. And let's just talk briefly about the risks that the implanted device, which is hormones, can cause. But you know what? We've become as a society so sort of whatever the word is, about hormones. Hormones are serious things. But we're willing to give young kids hormones to change their gender so willy-nilly, so blasé. We've become so blasé about it. This is serious stuff. But of course they want to downplay how serious it is because they want what they want, and they just want it so badly that they don't want people to understand that it's not as simple as they're trying to make it seem. Just like with abortion. I've never had an abortion, but I did have a DNC, which is the equivalent. It's just that I suffered a miscarriage, and so I needed the dead tissue to be removed, not a live baby. And I will tell you, and this is in our upcoming book, frankly, I will tell you, it is not just a simple thing that you go in and it's like nothing and then you leave. It's not. It's a much bigger deal than all that. I was shocked at how big a deal it is. They put you under. It's a big deal. It's a surgery. The surgery to remove the device also removed damaged tissue caused by this device. It's not approved, by the way. The device is not approved for anyone under the age of 18. But did that stop the school from implanting the device in this woman's daughter, who was 16 at the time? No. Somebody's not even reading the directions. Does anybody else see how it's not just dangerous, it's diabolical? We're going to put your child on hormones. You won't even know about it. One of the film festivals that I went to, the Anthem Film Festival, featured a short film by a guy. I gotta remember the name of it, but it was like a futuristic thing. It was very well done. And it depicted this social worker who went to the house of a little girl, talked to the mother and asked to speak to the child, and you're just following along, and okay. And she goes to the child and she says, "Why aren't you taking your medicine?" And the child said, "Well, I don't want to." And so they play this game, and then eventually, and I'm not going to tell you the ending of the movie, but basically it comes down to the state prescribes this medicine. Clearly it's like a hormone. And so it levels out the emotions of the child so that there's nothing that goes too high or too low. It just sort of levels them out. And they're not terribly, it levels out their ambition as well. And it's basically a mind control pill. So if you ever saw The Giver, it's basically sort of a spin-off of that kind of a thing. And so the social worker wants her to take the pill. And the question is whether she'll take the pill or not. And then the question is whether the social worker will report her or not because she's not behaving the way that she's supposed to behave. This is what we're doing with the ADD medications that we're giving out. Now, I'm not like hard and fast against the ADD medicines that we're giving out because I haven't done all the research, so I can't be hard and fast about that. But I know that little boys need to spend time outside. And I know that school is not engineered to allow little boys to spend time outside. It's not even engineered to allow little boys to spend time physically active, which is what they need. Not just outside, but just physically active. And the corollary to that is that ADD seems to be helped in many cases by just being outside. So also I will say that there's something about stress that's exacerbated by electronics. So I'm just saying we're getting it all wrong. And our bureaucracy of education is sort of at the forefront of the wrongness of all of this. So that's what I'll say about that. All right, let's talk about these farmers. Well, let's first of all, the belly of the beast. This is interesting. They say that Omar has now given a grudging permission for Trump's rally, which will take place in Minnesota on October 10th at the Target Center It'll put the nation's political divide into high relief, something that neither side sees as an accident. No, this is on purpose. The city-owned facility sits in a state House district that Trump lost to Hillary Clinton in 2016. He got 13%. Hillary won 78% of the district. The president is absolutely not afraid to go into the belly of the beast and make sure people are aware of the successes our country has had under his leadership, said state GOP party chairwoman Jennifer Carnahan. This is in stark contrast because Trump's message of believing in America, fighting for the American dream, fighting hard to create more jobs, puts him in stark contrast to Omar's message of anti-American sentiment and rhetoric, frankly. The Target Center can pack in a crowd of more than 19,000. And his largest event so far in Minnesota was at Rochester's Mayo Civic Center, which was 11,000 people. No Republican nominee for president has won Minnesota since 1972, but in 2016, Trump came within just 1.5% of winning the state. So, of course, it's clever that he go there. The Minnesota Immigrant Rights Action Committee happened to have a meeting Thursday after the rally was announced, and they decided to create the Dump Trump protest. The group has since had 12 other organizations sign on as co-hosts on Facebook, and they expect more to join over the next couple of weeks. And then you've got Mayor Jacob Frey, who is worried about the response. The head of the Republicans said that it's almost as if Frey is provoking violence and hatred in this animosity toward Trump and his supporters, because Frey said he cannot stop the visit, but that Trump's message of hatred will never be welcome in Minneapolis, and Trump's actions are reprehensible. So here's the thing. If you're saying that Trump's actions are reprehensible, you're saying that he's evil. That is a call to action to some people. And the thing is that the left would tell us that that is a call to action. The left said that when Sarah Palin used the word target, she made everybody on the left basically targets for gun practice for the right. And therefore, simply by her use of the word target, every gun death of right on left violence, not that there were that many, but everyone that there was her fault. And so in this case, I think that if the mayor himself comes out and says, well, Trump's reprehensible and he shouldn't be coming here, basically. That's a call to action. His spokesman said public safety is the city's top priority for any large event, and that the mayor, police chief, and surrounding communities will have a plan in place for the event. Yeah, I can't wait to see that. The idea that Frey's, of course, they're saying that his comments won't cause any kind of confrontation. Okay, whatever. The last Republican-aligned politician to serve on the Minneapolis City Council was Dennis Schulstad. He retired in 1997. He actually retired last century, I'm just saying. Okay, and now we're going to go into farmers, but before we do, Atrantil will help you with your gut health. It's good for your bloating. It's good for your gut. Try it today. Go to lovemytummy.com/mojo, lovemytummy.com/mojo. Save $20 on 3 boxes of Atrantil. And you take it because it works. And it works in over 4 out of 5 people. So that's why you take it. It's all natural. It's physician certified. It's also certified for sport. So you can trust all the statements have been verified and the ingredients are clean. Go to lovemytummy.com/mojo. That's lovemytummy.com/mojo. Now, these farmers, they are tired of being blamed for climate change. And so they drove a tractor convoy to The Hague. They caused record-breaking rush hour in the Netherlands. There's a plow on the front of one of the tractor was spray painted with the words, "How dare you?" I'm sorry. That makes me so happy. It's just funny. The farmers are ticked off over claims that they should be held responsible for the nitrogen oxide emissions. So much so, 22,000 joined this convoy of tractors that stormed The Hague in their protest, 700 miles of traffic jams were recorded at the peak of rush hour. Stand up for yourselves, folks. It's not the farmers. It's not big oil either. All right. This is the Sam Sorbo Show. Thanks for listening.